sisters. I have not gone live in this space yet, and in fact I've been kind of absent from this space for the last 2 months. I've been in the process of moving and rearranging my life, and yeah, also 2020, what a freaking year. So I wanted to do a little full moon ritual tonight, for full moon in Cancer, and oh, it looks like somebody's watching. I don't know how to tell who's watching, but hello, whoever's watching. Yeah, I'm going to do a little full moon ritual in Cancer because it's the full moon, and I want to start doing that in this space, using full moon and new moon things. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how the full moon is a great time for outer manifestation. So basically, because the full moon is a time when the sun, when the moon is reflecting the sun to a really big degree, to the biggest degree that there is, this makes this a great time for coagular work, or basically calling in our heart's deepest desires and making them manifest in our outer world. In fact, in ancient times, farmers would plant the seeds of plants that grow up and out of the soil during the waxing phase towards the full moon, because they knew that that full moon energy would bring things up and out and make it manifest into our outer reality. Whereas during the new moon is usually when we do solve work or deep inner subconscious work, because the new moon is more correlated to our subconscious, into our shadows, into the places that, you know, we maybe need to dissolve old habits and behaviors and tendencies and traumas that are no longer serving us. I know, and the new moon leans more towards winter time, which is where we are now in the seasonal cycle. And the full moon is really more correlated with summer, and also with ovulation, right? Like that point in our cycle when we're the most potent and sexy and alive. So it's a great time to procreate and to create, to manifest, to literally bring things from the ethereal and astral realms into the physical realms. And so that's why we're going to be doing a little coagula or manifestation ritual tonight. And what you'll need for that ritual, try to keep it really simple. So just a jar of some kind, a small vessel that you're willing to part with, and a writing utensil. In my case, I have some colorful markers, and then a sheet of paper. So if you want to just take a minute to go gather those things, and if you want to light a candle or burn some smudge, I think I'll do that right now, just to like anchor in the space. I've got this nice mugwort smudge that my friend gifted me from California. And mugwort is also associated with the moon. It's a lunar herb that when you drink it, it helps with your, to help you remember your dreams more clearly. So the moon also rules the dream time and the dreamscape, and many of the ways that our subconscious communicates with us is through our dreams and what we're dreaming about. So if you've gone and gathered those things, then we will continue. So some things that can happen around the full moon, and some things that like I notice around the full moon is that I have like difficulty sleeping, that I'll feel restless. Oftentimes midwives will comment that there are more people going to labor around the full moon. These are just like more signs of that, the fact that the full moon is like the outer manifestation, right? Like it brings things forth and out. More births will happen, more conflict will happen. Like that's why also the full moon is attributed to like werewolves and lunacy and lunatics, because it's like it literally pulls things out of us. And so we have the ability to like choose which things we pull into the world, or sometimes the moon will just do it for us if it's something that needs to come up and out. Which is why people can feel a little bit crazy when the full moon comes around. Let's see. Yeah, alright. And this full moon is in Cancer, which I actually have this beautiful Cancer card from Dana Fast of Starseed Sprouting. She makes beautiful, beautiful artwork. You can check her out on Etsy. She's got an Instagram page too. And you can see like Cancer's main symbolism in astrology is the moon. So to have the full moon be in its sign of Cancer is like, this is a pretty strong, potent one, and I'm sure a lot of us are feeling the big energies. Yeah, and Cancer is, in the tarot, is ruled by this beautiful card, the Chariot. You can kind of see the man with his suit of armor. And that correlation in the tarot is actually with the crab. So like crabs have like a exoskeleton, right, a suit of armor. And the idea behind Cancer is actually, the astrological sign is about learning to have boundaries. So Cancer, the crab, has this thick outer shell of armor that he or she takes into the world that's sort of a protective mechanism against the watery emotional realms. And people who have a lot of Cancer energy usually also have a lot of Chariot energy from the tarot. And the Chariot energy is really about, well, it's about two things. You can see he's holding the wheel of fate in his hands, in his suit of armor, being drawn by these four creatures in the front, two black and two white. And just like with a lot of the more lunar themes, it's like it's reconciling our will. So the four beings that are pulling us forward represent the different elements that exist within each of us, you know, like our shadow self and our conscious and our subconscious. And when we weave those two things together, then we get to have that which was our wildest dreams, basically. We get to own the wheel of fate and have what we've always desired. And so this full moon in Cancer it's really potent energy for manifestation. If you do a ritual like this tonight, like you can bring forth some of your deepest desires. And also and that's the thing about fate, right? Like we have our free will and our ability to go out and make things manifest. But in reality, like, there is also this element to our lives that is fated, that's already decided, and it's tapping into what was already intended for us and putting ourselves in alignment with that. And that's really what gets the wheels going, right? So with that in mind, I am going to pull 3 cards, and each of those cards will represent a different area of your life. And I want you to pick in your head right now, choose 1, 2, or 3, and pick with whatever comes up first. And I'm going to tell you which card correlates to that, and that will be the area of your life that you should focus on for this manifestation ritual. An area of your life that maybe is needing more love, more care, and more attention to like bring to fruition the things that you want to make manifest, which is really what the moon and the lunar cycle is trying to help us do, right? In the full moon, she's trying to shine a light into those darkest, deepest parts of ourselves, to our deepest desires, and to show us what's already within us, and to help us clear away some of the things that are maybe in the way of us getting those things. And having the kind of life that we want to have. So, you ready? You got your card picked? Your number picked? 1, 2, or 3? Alright, we got number 1. We got number 2. Woo! And we got number 3. Alright guys, we drew all court cards tonight. So, for card number 1, if this is the card that you chose, alright, I'm going to go ahead and show it to you now. It is the Queen of Discs. You can see all the beautiful imagery in there. We've got the ram in the front, and she's wearing these beautiful horned things and her staff. And discs represents the area of our life that has to do with physical material possessions and career. So it's the way in which we make our money, gain our stable housing, and it's literally the material world that we surround ourselves with. And so if for the ritual tonight, your focus should be on material possessions, but also the Queen of Discs is as a persona, she's like the world's most epic boss. Like, she is a self-starter, she's an entrepreneur, she is literally the embodiment of, I created this world for myself, and I'm a boss bitch. Like, I've got everything that I need. And I created it myself through my own hard work and labor. And so specifically in the area of career is where you should focus your intention for this ritual tonight. And start thinking about the things that you want to accomplish over this next year, that you want to see made manifest in your external outer reality that have to do with your career prospects and material possessions, and also how you yourself interact with those things. If you were card number 2, if that was the number that popped into your head, then your card is the Knight of Cups. Do you guys see Cancer, the crab, is being held in this cup vessel? He's riding a white Pegasus horse, and he's riding it up into the sky, the Knight of Cups. And because this is the top deck that I'm working with, the Knight is actually the king in this deck. So this is the King of Cups, and the cups really have to do with the emotional realms, with our love lives, right? And so the outer manifestation of the King of Cups. And kings can represent actual people. So maybe you're trying to manifest your boo right now. Maybe you're like, I want to upgrade my relationship. Or I want to have a relationship. And so your intention for this ritual should be around creating that. And how fitting is that it has the Cancer sign right there for this Cancer full moon. And literally taking all those lessons of Cancer, of the unification of your will and desire, and placing it in the vessel of love so that you can have your boo thing. And then if number 3 was the card that you drew, or the card that popped into the number that popped into your head, then your card for setting your intention for tonight is the Princess of Wands. And you can see here, the princesses really represent playfulness of all kinds, and wands are in the area of outward action, the element of fire. And you can see She's got her offering flame lit up in the background, and from her offering is springing forth everything that you could ever want. She's got the sun right there. She's got a strong sense of self-esteem and self, and she is just springing forward into the unknown with her beautiful tiger, like launching her on the way. Yeah, and playfulness in the wand seed is really, this is a beautiful thing. This is about stepping into self-esteem and stepping into, your best life, but also like in areas where you struggled, in areas where you felt like, oh, I'm not good enough, or I could never do that, like even though I really, really want to, I just don't feel like I have the ability to tap into that. I don't feel like I'm skilled enough. I don't feel like I can take action on that. Like, think about areas like that in your life, and maybe come up around, like maybe you've wanted to try belly dancing forever, but you're like terrified to dance in front of other people. Or maybe you've been like really wanting to hone in on your public speaking, but you're terrified to speak in front of other people, which I feel you on that one. I struggle with public speaking myself. And this is really about like stepping up into your like I am presence and pursuing the things that you have been wanting to learn. This is about passion, the things that you're passionate about. So you should focus your intention on that space. Cool. So just to recap real quick, we've got the 1. It's the career, boss babe, where in your life what are you looking to call in directly to outerly manifest in your life through your career? Number 2, boo thing. Where in your love life are you looking to upgrade? Whether that's self-love too, because that's also a possibility. Like, how can I love myself more deeply, have better boundaries, have better communication? What am I looking to do in those realms? And then number 3, passion. What have I been wanting? Maybe I've been wanting to learn a new language. Maybe I've been wanting to learn to dance, and I just like haven't felt good enough in my own body to do those things. Think about where your passion is and what you're trying to call in that regard. And then okay. So the next thing that I want you to do is to pull out the piece of paper that you got earlier. And on that piece of paper, we're just going to take a few minutes. And on that piece of paper, I want you to write a letter to your concept of divinity, whether that's God, Goddess, the universe, energy, whatever. And I want you to write this letter in the past tense, thanking divinity profusely for giving you exactly what you're desiring in that area that we just focused on. So if the area was career, your letter could go something like, Goddess, thank you so much for giving me that huge promotion with that particular raise. I was so happy to receive that. How beautiful. So you kind of get the idea. You say it as if it's already happened, and you are writing a thank you note to God that it's already happened, and that you're so, so grateful for receiving that into your life. And we're just going to take a few minutes to write out. I'm going to write one too with you guys. And yeah, choose some fun colors and write your little letter on your piece of paper, and we'll take a few minutes to do that. what this does when you write things in the past tense, when you write your affirmations as if they're happening or already happened, is that it's rewiring your neural pathways to think of yourself as already having these things. And the way the kind of universe, like the holographic universe works, is that if you are already feeling that gratitude in your heart and you're already feeling like you have these things, that they're already within you, then the universe simply mirrors that back to you. And so if we're constantly saying like, oh, please give me this, or I can't wait till next week when I have that, or sometime in the future, like, would you just like think about sending me this, then it's always in the future, right? And like a lot of these feelings, they happen by like these outer manifestations. They come into our life because we're actually viscerally feeling them in our bodies now. So these letters, these past tense letters, gratitude notes, which are also sometimes in the witch community called hypersignaling, you can Google that term, they are a way to draw things into us, to make things come closer and more manifest in our bodies. So just take a few more minutes and write out the past tense letter of gratitude for something that you want to receive. And then when you're done writing your little past tense letter, then you can get your jar, which we talked about in the beginning, just a little vessel. And I want you to fold your letter up and stick it inside the jar. And I've gathered some things from around my house that I've just had around. I had some pomegranate, and I'm going to add some pomegranate seeds to my jar as a little offering. If you have herbs around your house, you can add any of those herbs. So just things that are that are representative to you of what you'd like to call in. So for me, like I'm definitely card number 1, like I'm looking at career stuff. So I think of like juicy pomegranates and just like the lusciousness of being able to provide for myself whatever I want. And I think of pomegranates as being associated with like wealth and beauty and like the very like the kind of reality that I want to create for myself and my clients, which is like very Venusian, right? I also had some rose petals that I harvested last summer, so I'm going to put a few of those in the jar. You can literally just do anything around your house. Like you can just kind of like scrounge through the fridge, scrounge through your tea stash, and find things that feel right for you. So for me, that's rose petals and pomegranates. And yeah. Okay. And so then with your letter and your offerings in your jar, you're just going to seal it up. And then tonight, under the light of the full moon, you can go out to your backyard and you can bury it. And the idea behind this is that the vessel represents the Cancer, the crab shell, right? It's the boundaries that we have. It's our armor for going into the world. It's our container for holding all of the stuff that we want to bring into the world. The letter is the call for that stuff to come in, and the feelings that you're feeling while you're writing that letter are also a kind of spell. It's like literally bringing those things to you as you feel them in your body. And then when you go and you plant it into the earth, what that signifies is that you want this to last. Because the earth is a very solid and grounded and stable thing. So when we use that in spell work, what we're saying to our subconscious is, hey, like I'm not burning this up in a fire, I don't want this to be like wham bam, thank you ma'am, like I want this to be forever. I want this to be lasting. And then the second part of the ritual work that we're going to do tonight is we're going to prepare some moon water. And I have a vessel of water right here. You can just do a jar or a cup, or if you have a pitcher, you can fill that with water. And literally to make moon water, you need 3 things. You need a vessel, some water, and your voice. And that's it. All the extra stuff is it's just additional cherries on top. I am going to add some herbs and some flower essences that I made, and I also have a crystal that I'm going to put in there. But quite literally, to make moon water, a vessel, some water, your voice. That's it. So for me, I want to make Maiden Mother Crone water. So I have mugwort and chickweed and motherwort. And mugwort is also sometimes called cronewort. We talked about that earlier. It's the herb that you can smoke or drink in tea that helps you have more vivid dreams and helps you remember your dreams better. So I'm just going to take like a good pinch of that and put that in my moon water. And then I'm going to take a good pinch of motherwort, which is a nervine that's mostly taken in tincture because it's quite gross as tea. Like it's very, very bitter, made into a tea. But motherwort is really, really, really super good for anxiety and nervousness, and also it can help you sleep. It can help with insomnia. Some people describe it as being curled up in your mother's lap. So it's a very lunar herb. It's a bitter, and it has to do with mothering ourselves when we don't feel mothered by the world, when we're feeling anxious, irritable. So I took a good pinch of that, and I'm going to put that in there. And then my last herb that I'm going to put in there tonight is chickweed, which is a nutritive herb that grows in the springtime. That's really good at, it's actually a weight loss herb. Like it helps melt the saponins. It has saponins in it that help melt fat cells, which is partly why it's called maidenwort, because it gives you the figure of a maiden. But it's also, it's associated with springtime and virility and that time in a woman's life when she feels, like full and luscious. And it's a full moon right now, so we're talking like ovulation energy. So I'm gonna take like a big old scoop of that, put that in my moon water. The cycles of the moon correlate to these archetypes, right? So we've got the new moon, where there is no moon, and that's cronewort or mugwort. It's like the elder years. It's winter. And then we've got motherwort, which is probably like the waxing and the waxing cycles, where you're becoming full and giving birth to new life. And then we've got chickweed, which is maidenwort, which is that ovulation time when you're feeling like fresh and young and out there in the world. And then I'm also going to add a few more rose petals, because I feel like rose is a very sweet herb that just adds a little bit of beauty to everything it touches, and I always want a little bit more beauty in my life. And then I have these homemade flower essences. I've got a rose flower essence. I'm going to add a little squirt of that. And then I also have a mock orange flower essence, which mock orange is another one like motherwort that's very good for helping to create nourishing mother-like energy in our lives, to help us feel supported and grounded as we go out into the world to create everything that we desire. So now that I've got my little potion, my little witchy concoction, and like I said, you can literally create moon water with nothing more than a vessel and water in your voice. So all these herbs are just extra goodness. So another potent part of creating moon water is, and like really the third most essential part is your voice. It's literally speaking your affirmations, your intentions into it. And I like to do this, and also praising the waters of the earth and how they're going to come into your body and bring these things to fruition, that they allow for us to be alive. You know, like mini wakoni, water is life. It is the reason that we're all here, the reason that we're all able to be here. And so for this particular ritual working, like we are working with Cancerian lunar energy, and the moon is super tied to the oceanic, to the waters, to the tides. That's part of why the farmers would plant during the full moon or the new moon, because it actually, the full moon and the new moon changes the moisture content in the soil, which makes the seeds more likely to germinate. And so we can think about this within ourselves as well. Like, I'm going to give my prayers and offerings and gratitude to this water so that she in turn nourishes me, and I'm able to go out in the world and make space and take action towards these intentions that we've been working on tonight. Cool, so I'm going to share with you guys a water song that I learned while I was in the Amazon, and that I've heard lots of people singing it recently, actually, on social media. It's a good one. And roughly translated, it's in Spanish, and I'm going to sing it, but it roughly translated is, water of life, water of stars, in your infinite eyes of water, the stars are bathed in mother. And it talks about cleaning the heart, healing the heart, and calming the heart so that we can go forth and be in gratitude, be in service to the earth. So I'm going to go ahead and target my water with my voice. You could also sing a song to your water, or you can take your letter out and you can read your letter and charge the water molecules with your affirmation right out loud. Whatever feels good to you. So here we go. Agua de luz, agua de estrellas, Pachamama vienes del cielo. Agua de luz, agua de estrellas, Pachamama vienes del cielo. En tus ojos de agua infinita se bañan las estrellitas. En tus ojos de aguas infinitas se bañan las estrellitas. Agua de luz, agua de estrellas, Pachamama vienes del cielo. Agua de luz, agua de estrellas, Pachamama vienes del cielo. Limpia, limpia, limpia corazón, agua brillante, sana, sana, sana corazón, agua bendita, calma, calma, calma corazón, agua del cielo. So once you're done singing your song or saying your prayers into your water, setting your intentions into your water, then the next step would be to go to find a place outside if you can. It's near your home that's on the earth. You can set this vessel and so that the moonlight can pour directly into it. And if you don't have a backyard or a place where you can do this, you can do a window seal and just make sure it's nice and open. the curtains I mean, and the window could be open too if that's possible, although it's quite cold, so that might not be possible. um, but the preference is to have the vessel on the earth, under the open moon, with nothing in between, no glass, no nothing, to let the water really soak up those vibrations. And then tomorrow morning, once the vessel has soaked those up, you can strain out the herbs or whatever else you put in there, and you can drink it over the course of the day. And you can also, from the little offering vessel that you already went outside and buried, you can go back to that spot and, like a new plant, as if this were a seed that you were planting into the earth, you can take your vessel of moon water, you've charged up with all of those intentions, and you can water that seed. And that can become a special place that you go back to in times when you're doubting yourself and you're doubting that these things are really possible for you, the intention that you set, that you put into that vessel and put into the earth, and you can go back and you can make offerings, you can sit in that space, you can basically offer up your doubts back to the earth and allow for yourself to be rejuvenated and in the knowledge that, like, this stuff works. Like, this is how we communicate with our subconscious. This is how we remove subconscious blockages to be able to have the kind of life that we've always wanted. So that's our ritual working for this month. And for those of you that have been popping in and out, I'm glad to see your faces. I haven't been, like I said before, I haven't been as present in this space as I would like to have been, and I'm working on that myself. But I really hope that this ritual, if you want to go back and watch it on replay once it's fully posted, that this helps you, and that this is like something that you can do for this full moon practice. Really, any full moon practice you can adapt this to. And that it goes forth and serves you in all the deepest ways and brings forward all the things that you've been desiring in your life. Alright, beloveds, thank you so much for your time, and sweet, sweet blessings to you on this full moon.